welcome back to another episode of NFT Artist Spotlight, hosted by AstroZero. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
So today on our spaces, we have a very talented AI artist. It's Dolores Emporium. So how's it going? Welcome to our spaces. And can I hear a little bit about yourself and what got you started in NFTs and what made you start this specific project?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. This is really cool. This is only the second time I've ever actually spoken in a space too. So, taking a big jump here. What got me started in NFTs? So I actually popped into the NFT space back in February. I woke up one morning and my girlfriend was laying next to me and she was cycling through her phone and Grammatic had just released, I think it was like 7 songs or something like that as NFTs. And if you guys don't know who Grammatic is, you should check him out. Make some really funky, nice like dubstep. It's good. But dude pulled in it was like over $1 million within something like 24 hours on his NFT drop. So I started digging around, looking at OpenSea, looking at Rarible, because back then, in February there wasn't really much. Foundation was there, OpenSea was there, but the gasless store wasn't around yet. Rarible was there. I think Hen might have just popped up. So I popped in, made some art. I was there. I was hanging around for maybe a month. I sold like a piece, and then we found out we were pregnant. So immediately shifted gears. Could no longer do something that I was speculating on. I had to kind of focus 100% on like real work and getting everything ready and stuff. But fast forward to October, I think it was like late October, I came back in and I had all my real life stuff relatively together. I don't know how ready you can be for a baby, but ready enough. My actual job was slowing down as we were getting close to winter, and I just popped back in and started creating again, and here I am. It's been a wild ride these last few months. I met a bunch of really, really cool people. I know you guys know this space is amazing. Like, you go on any other social media, you go on Facebook, you go on anywhere, and all it is people bickering, people fighting, like this, politics, this, especially coronavirus now, like everybody's just mad, everybody's angry. And then you come to the NFT space and it's just full of encouragement. Everybody's super nice. Like everybody, it's just amazing here. And like, I feel like I kind of found a little home, like such a good community. So here I am. That's what really got me into NFTs, and of course the thought of actually making a living from my art. Like, as an artist, I've been creating for about 30 years. I'm 35 years old. I've gone through multiple disciplines. I went to art school. I went to college. And the prospects of getting like a real world art job, you're gonna not be appreciated. You're gonna be worked to the bone and essentially have nothing to show for it because whatever studio you're working for or whatever owns what you're working on. And that's what really kind of brought me here. What got me into AI though is all of the amazing artists that I'm surrounded by. Like, it's becoming such a wave, and I really just wanted to get acquainted with it. I wanted to dive into it. Like, it brings out the engineer in me. I code a little bit. I did code. I made a Android game a few years ago. There's just so many things that spark my interest, and being able to create NFTs allows me to bring all of those disciplines into one space. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. Do you do art full time, or is it kind of like a side gig that you're doing now? It is your regular job that you do. Does it have to do with the same type of field, or do you do something completely different?
Oh, completely different. I work with horses, so like completely left field compared to art. But I mean, I treat this as a full-time job. So once I get finished, with my real job, then I'm creating. None of us sleep. Sleep is not something that people really talk about in the NFT space, except for a lack of.
Yeah, so you basically, is it a 7 day a week thing that you're working on your art projects?
Yeah. Yep. Um, I got some pretty powerful ADHD, and the good side of that is the ability to hyper focus, and which I guess can also be a pretty terrible thing depending on what you're hyper focused on. But it's that's what art is for me. That's where my hyper focus goes. So it's really easy for me to be able to sit for however long. I get done with my job like around 5, 6, and eat and shower up, get all cleaned, and then go until about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and wake up and do it again. Of course, taking breaks to take care of the baby and help out around the house and give the lady some love.
So where did the name come from, Dolores Emporium?
So I produce as well. I make music, and that was my producer tag was Slender Loris. I don't know if you've ever seen what a loris looks like. They're really, really, really interesting, weird mammals. Kind of slothish, I guess. But they're just really cool looking, and I wanted something that stood out. And given that my styles are so all over the place, like I do traditional art, I do digital stuff, I make fractals, I do music, I now AI stuff, like and an emporium is just an assortment or collection, a store of random things. So this is my store. This is me.
I think it had something to do with the animal, but I wasn't sure if it was a play on words or how you were going to go about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's some really kick-ass little animals that have like gigantic eyes. That's not
Yep.
really a word, but yeah, I think they're fully nocturnal. I don't think they really do anything until nighttime. So I guess that kind of fits as well with ADHD and being up and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even think about that actually. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell everybody
you tell them, be like, I'm nocturnal.
right now.
So your one collection with the mandalas,
Yeah.
is there any significance behind it that you decided to do an entire collection of these? Does it represent anything to you personally? Or is it just something
They-
you like the symmetry of?
yeah. I mean the symmetry is beautiful. The intricateness is beautiful. Mine are a little bit different, I guess, than like what you would consider like a standard mandala when you look at them. But also the way that I make them is really cool. I use Illustrator, and I essentially just create one slice of the mandala, and then it gets reflected and rotated around in a circle to create the whole thing. So there's a lot of randomness involved in it. Like you're creating in such a small space, but then once it gets transferred around, it creates this whole beautiful big image. So it was always like a surprise what I would get. It was always like they were never really planned out except for some of the beginning ones. Like I did a Halloween one, and I kind of went in there with intention. But the rest of them, it was all just kind of putting stuff on the canvas, so to say, and seeing how it turned out. And fortunately, I really really enjoyed the way they were turning out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you do some sort of reflective property in order to create it, because I would think if you did the whole thing from scratch, that would be pretty tedious and take you quite a long time to do something like that.
Yeah, and if you have even like the slightest bit of OCD, that would be disastrous.
Yeah, it would probably drive you completely insane trying to do something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, have you decided maybe to incorporate some sort of utility into that specific piece? Because, like, maybe give the person that purchases one of them like an actual print. Because when I look at them What it really reminds me of is when I was like a teenager and I would go into places like Spencer Gifts and they would have like blacklight posters and stuff like that. That's what they really remind me of with the colors and everything that you have coming from them. So I was wondering if you were thinking of maybe doing like some sort of print or
I mean,
anything for the people that decide to purchase these.
what I was considering doing, I still am. You know, it's everybody's spread thin. It's kind of hard, and I don't really Discord. You know, I don't. I need to, but I don't. But I was thinking about making them sort of like a token. You know, like because that was my first real collection, my first complete collection. That was, um, you know, people who bought them were essentially like early adopters of me, and what I want to do once I can wrap my head around it and wrap my time around it is create a Discord and have those sort of be like a VIP type token, you know, where you receive airdrops and all that good stuff. But I don't have a roadmap. Everybody's kind of yelling at me for not having a roadmap, uh, but yeah, that I would like to have some type of utility for them. Sending prints and stuff like that, it they're at such a lower price point, it would probably be hard. Just considering that we're all over the world. Like I don't know what it would cost for me to, you know, I'm in the States to send some type of print or something out to like say India or something like that. Um, and then also, you know, what happens when the next person buys it on secondary? You know, at least if I do something with my Discord and people can go and, you know, fill out the Google, like a Google form, and I can see whoever's got it and then check the wallets when it comes time to send out the airdrop. That would be something, you know, I definitely want to do something more feasible, I guess is the right word.
Going back to the roadmap idea, is it easier to be an NFT artist that does individual pieces and doesn't necessarily have like a set collection rather than having a specific project? Like, let's say we'll just make up one, Happy Hippos, right? I'm making the Happy Hippos project. I have to build a roadmap. I need to get my smart contract written. I need to have 10,000 variations of this specific hippo, and like all these elements are have to get included into that. Is it easier when you're just doing individual collections or one-offs and stuff like that as opposed to doing a project like that, or do you think you would be a little bit more focused if you were doing something that's just a specific generative art collection?
I think well, I think it probably depends on the artist. First of all, like you know, Soma, you had them in what was it, last week or earlier this week, and you know they're talking about roadmaps and what they want to do, um, and that seems to work for them, and they're one of one artists. Um, Other one of one artists like myself, maybe not so much because it's then I have that constantly in my head, you know, like this thing that I have to follow because I put it out there and people expect it of me. Now, when we're talking about generative art and stuff like that, though, that I think it's very important because, you know, a lot of people, you're not really, depending on the generative project, you're not really buying into it for the art, right? You're buying into the project, you're buying into you know, something that you have faith in, something that like maybe that you might want to flip down the line, you know. So that I think a roadmap is important, just to give your potential adopters, your potential, you know, buyers, like something to look at, something to know, like know where you're going. Like why are they going to buy your PFP when, you know, there's 9 million other PFPs? Like it just gives a sort of plan, I guess, for lack of better terminology.
Hmm. Yeah, I understand. I guess it's kind of case by case basis.
Right.
um Going back to the mandalas that you did, what program do you use to make these? You said Illustrator.
Yep, I use Illustrator and then After Effects.
Now,
So yep.
how do you get the motion involved into it? Because when you open up the link on OpenSea. They rotate, and that done through Illustrator as well.
No, so that I do in After Effects. So how the whole process of the project goes. I create one like base mandala, right, for the set of 10, and from that, once I get it where I want, I bounce that down into Photoshop and play with the hue, saturation, all the different like color balance and stuff like that to get all the different color derivatives of that parent mandala, I guess you could say. And then from there, I get an outline file. I bring that into Adobe After Effects as well as the mandala itself. Place a mandala there, blow up the outline, colorize the outline, throw some glow on it, and animate the rotations.
Okay, seems like something I wouldn't be able to ever do. So I leave it to the professionals. So you've done minting on both Polygon and on Tezos, right? I saw you had some work on Hen.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about Hen, because I haven't really met too many NFT artists that do any work on Tezos. Was it a good experience or not so much? Was it neutral?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I guess my experience was pretty neutral. I didn't really know what I was doing. A lot of people, like, everybody seems to have this little like no, you have to just, like, if you're gonna do edition pieces, price it at this. If you're doing like lower runs, you gotta price it like this. So I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. I made a couple sales, but they were all like 20 of 20 edition pieces at one Tezos a piece. But Hen itself was garbage. Like, it was buggy, it was glitchy, it took forever to load. It was a pain. Sometimes when you minted, it wouldn't go through. Then other times, like, it would just hang. It was a pain. I mean, of course, there's object.com, or is it .com? I think it's .com. And then now there's the new Hen site, but like, there's just something about Tezos that it's not really like my thing. I was just kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see what would stick. None of us really know exactly what we're doing here because everything's so new.
How was the community with it? Was there a community established like we have with Polygon here, or not really? Was it kind of just every man for himself?
I never found a community like I did with Polygon. It seems like, I mean, there might be. I also didn't look. Like Polygon, I was fortunate enough to stumble on into Beluga space, as so many before. Back when his space had like 20 people in it too. I was like in there early. It was nice. But there probably is, like, I see so many like Shill Your Tezos piece posts, or like people, I'm in a couple groups, just general engagement groups with a bunch of Tezos artists that they seem to do pretty well. So I'm sure there are like Tezos specific communities and stuff like that out there. I just haven't come across any.
Beluga and Dave have done so much for the Polygon community, and neither one of those guys take any credit. And neither one in here, so I'm not trying to like boost anybody's ego, but those guys are really incredible with what they've done with
they are amazing people. Like, super accepting, super encouraging. Like, they're both amazing. And Beluga's been through some stuff, and he keeps his head up. He perseveres. They're both great people.
Yeah, Dave, he did an AMA with us before they even had that space going, I think. Like,
oh, wow.
I think he did it with us back on Telegram, maybe. I don't even remember, but like months ago, like 3 or 4 months ago. And then we kind of just touched base, and he was like, "Hey, we're doing a little show, and know you guys do a show, and let's maybe kind of collaborate a little bit." And now we have like a little bit of a network, between like 4 or 5 shows that we do on here. So it's nice, we build in the community, and Polygon is really like the strongest community I think out of any of these that I've come into.
I
Um,
I agree with that. So like any new artist that comes into the NFT space, that's where I point them. If anybody, like if I talk to anybody or anything, like go to Polygon, go, like the lack of gas fees, the ease, like you can just gift somebody an NFT without paying $120. Like, you can trade. Like I mean, the games now. Unfortunately, Sunflower Farmer kind of murdered things, but um, like it really is. It sucks that it's got such like this bad rep, I guess, with collectors. Like that, there's scams everywhere. It's not just Polygon. It just sucks that the ease of access makes it easier to scam.
yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Sunflower Farmer. I know it was booming the one day. I guess they rugged her or something.
No. It's still going, but
Oh,
they weren't. There was no limit on how many accounts and stuff you could have.
okay.
So yeah, there was tons and tons and tons of bot accounts that were just congesting it. Like there was like a week or something that Polygon was just like not working, and that was right after Sunflower Farmer came out, and that's why it just murdered the network.
I wasn't sure. I was like, oh shit, they rugged.
It was a couple reasons. For one, the 12% of the validators were sending empty blocks, and you had extremely high usage with that, and with like OpenSea, and Polygon was kind of blowing up right then. And
Right.
yeah.
So let's jump back into your art. Your other collection, the Quantum Cognizance.
My fractals.
Yeah, you kind of, there is some symmetry I see in it that kind of parts of it reminds me of the previous collection. But a collection like this, do you use like a reference point in order to create this stuff, or is it kind of just out of the blue and then you manipulate it as you start one piece and go on to the next portion of the specific piece?
Yeah. So I use a program called Chaotica for my fractals. Fractals are made from a bunch of mathematical formulas that I couldn't describe to you even if I wanted to or understood them. But what Chaotica does is kind of packages them up all nice and neatly into a bunch of iterators that you put in order, and you apply certain weights and move them around, and it creates these beautiful fractal flames. So what I kind of do is I have a couple base fractals, I guess you could call them, like that I start from, and I just go to town. I just throw some, like, all right, I know this transform will make this look nice over here. Like, and I just kind of throw stuff at the wall, and then I get something that looks nice, and I create my animations. Well, that collection doesn't have animations. That one's strictly stills, and then I take that into Photoshop or Lightroom to adjust any colors or anything like that I might need to make it look better. And I have my fractals. I like trippy things, so
when you make an AI piece like this, and you're generating stuff out of, let's say, 10 pieces that you go and you generate, how many of them do you think are throwaways?
Are you talking about like this collection, my newest collection, or still the Quantum Cognizance, the fractals?
Just kind of like in general, like what's the frequency that when you generate something that you throw away stuff rather than keeping it? Is it 50/50?
I think it depends. Like, so with this new AI collection, I kind of went into it with a lot more intent than I do like say my fractals, like the fractals I'm just kind of like, oh, let's move some stuff around and generate stuff over here and see what looks nice. Whereas this I went with I created my initial images like with the intention of what. So the fractals had a lot of throwaways. Like I have tons, in fact, that I'm looking forward to running through AI because I think those can make some really, really, really interesting things. But so I guess it depends on the medium. Like if I'm drawing or something like that, like I have a ton of throwaway stuff. Drawing, just random doodles, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, so I guess it really depends on the medium that I'm working in.
So your new project that is just released today. I thought you were releasing it later in the day, but you released it earlier today.
Yep.
It's pretty incredible. It's called Dreaming of Electronic Sheep.
Thank you.
Chapter 1. So are you going to have additional sets of this collection coming out?
Yeah. So I kind of created this little like fantasy world that sort of at least in this chapter is, kind of steampunk mixed with some magic, regular fantasy stuff. But I already have plans for chapter 2. I'm already working on the base images, and that's still going to be the same kind of world, but it's going to take place in more of like a cyberpunk future, so each chapter is going to be sort of from the same story. Like if you go on all the pieces, I wrote a little bit of lore in the descriptions for all these current ones, and it's just kind of going to be the timeline, I guess, of this fantasy world.
So if you guys look up top in the pinned, that's his new project that was just released. The floor price is set at 0.05 ETH, which is pretty damn low for the amount of detail. You can tell there's a lot of work that was put into this project. I think it's fantastic. Where did you come up with the name of it from?
Philip K. Dick. He was a sci-fi writer. Way before we were born. I think the 60s or 70s. Don't quote me on that. I'm terrible with dates. But he wrote the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and it's essentially what Blade Runner was based off of. And so it's kind of just like an homage to that, and I just really like the name. And I'm working with AI. It's kind of like my partner. We're kind of collabing, I guess. So I figured it was it worked. Like it made sense to me, at least.
So it's a 10-piece collection. Are they one of ones, or can you mint multiple ones of each specific?
They're one of ones.
Okay. So once they're gone, they're gone.
That's it.
So was there any specific inspiration behind going like the steampunk type route? Is it something that you enjoy, or was it just something that you wanted to challenge yourself with? Because, like I said, the amount of detail in this is crazy.
It was really just I'm just a nerd. I grew up on RPGs. I haven't really played too much like tabletop games, but back in NES, like one of the first games I owned was the OG Final Fantasy. I was playing that before I could read and not really, just walking around getting killed by monsters. And then Super Nintendo came out, and I was a little bit older, and I got Final Fantasy 2, which was Final Fantasy 4, and that just kind of spiraled me off into the whole fantasy realm, I guess you could say. Like it was like playing a book, and that's kind of what I'm looking to convey through this. Like to me, these images, they remind me of something that you would find like if you're when you're watching, say, like a Pixar movie or something like that, and they're describing lore in the movie, and you see like the fancy pages and stuff turning, like that's kind of what the art reminds me of. So yeah, I guess it's just my nerdiness. Like I just really like fantasy stuff.
It really does remind me of a video game or some sort of heavily animated like graphic novel. This particular collection that you have.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just great. I mean, when I saw it the other day, I was like, holy shit! I was super impressed by it. So what made you decide that you were going to go the Polygon route? You tried Tezos first, right? And then you switched over to Polygon?
No, Polygon was first. So yeah, so when I came into the space in February, there was no Polygon wasn't around. OpenSea actually didn't even have its gas-free store yet. So if you wanted to mint, you were paying, you were paying to mint, and which I thought was fine because if you want to hang your pieces in a gallery or anything like that, you're spending $150, $200 to frame it, and then that gallery is also taking their cut. So to me it made sense. Like I got it, but I could see why it wouldn't. And then when I came back in October, OpenSea was the gasless store. Like you couldn't pay to mint on OpenSea anymore. You just paid to initialize your account, and that was it. So to me, nobody knew me. Why would somebody want to pay that extra $100, $200 to buy my piece when I'm making pieces that I'm putting up for $30, $40? So I went to Polygon, and I started minting on there. Didn't really have too many sales. Thought I was making a mistake, and then I stumbled into Beluga Space. And we started talking, listening to everybody in there. I created a Polygon group chat to kind of go like run alongside of Beluga Space, and that filled up instantly. And all of a sudden, there was this beautiful community, and everybody was supporting everybody. Like it was really nice. And for me, it was always just supposed to be a stepping stone for me. But any time in the future, if I have ideas for a generative project, that would be on Polygon. If I wanted to do things that had multiple editions, that would be on Polygon because I wouldn't sell them for a ton of money. Those things I'm not going to sell it 10 of 10 for $100, a piece. That's something that makes sense to be on Polygon. Like it really, really does suck that it just got such a bad rep because it's a really good platform.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have a bad rep for too much longer.
I hope not.
Just going to need a couple big faces to start minting on, and then it's going to blow up. And people are going to see the value behind it. It's when you're starting a new project, why the hell would you want to have that much overhead? Like people don't even know. Like people are afraid to get into NFTs. I think a lot of times because they think that they're going to take on too much money right off the bat. And you don't have to worry about that with Polygon. Like you said earlier, you could airdrop people stuff just as a promotion. Like Mega Retro the other day, his entire first series, he's going to airdrop to everybody.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, like it's so affordable to do it. It makes sense to me. Like I'm eventually going to start like minting NFTs, but if I was to do it on Ethereum and then I don't sell anything, then I'm going to kill myself. Well, not literally. It's going to be such a hardship on whoever decides to do it. And I think it's keeping a lot of people who are kind of uncertain whether or not they want to go and jump into the space, away from it. So
it also it creates like this weird gatekeeping aspect because like there's a ton of nice generative ETH projects, but you can't get into for under 0.1. You can't like just check something out for under $300 now after gas and everything, and they have to charge like 0.07 ETH per just to make up for the gas that they paid to to put everything up to. It's weird, and I think Matic Polygon is really going to help introduce like a lot of new people into the scene. It's just going to make, and especially with communities like Belugas and that work really hard and are really helpful and actually enjoy onboarding people.
Well, myself personally, like I don't mind spending $300 or $400 on an NFT, but I would much rather a large majority of that to go to the artist rather than to go to gas fees that doesn't really benefit anybody.
Right.
So like I don't if somebody wants to charge $300 for something, I'd much rather like spend my $300, put my little gas. I know it goes into your pocket, so if I really do like your stuff, it gives you money and inspiration and the drive to go with a new project afterwards. Versus somebody charging $30 and then I have to pay $270 in gas, and they get discouraged because they can't sell shit.
Right. And you know, like it sucks that more like it sucks that more collectors don't think like that. A lot of collectors just see Polygon and it's just like they it's the Walmart of NFTs, you know, it's the Costco of NFTs, it's the Aldi's of NFTs, and it's not. There are a ton of phenomenal artists on Polygon, um, that just can't mint on ETH, and you know, a lot of collectors are just breezing right by them because they either don't want to take the time to use a bridge and bridge their Ethereum. They would rather spend $120 to buy, you know, an NFT than um, spend 20 using Umbria Bridge to bridge Ethereum to Polygon. Um, and once more collectors get on board, then sure, like it's gonna pop off. And I definitely do see them, but there's just so that stigma, man. It like really it hurts.
Now, you said earlier that you did this Dreaming of Electronic Sheep collection. You collaborated with somebody to do this?
Oh no, I was saying like the AI,
Oh, okay.
like collaborating with somebody else. Like the way I look at it is, you know, I I believe Soma when they were on, they had talked about how important like using initial images are in your AI to get like a more cohesive piece. So like the way I look at it is like say you got a crew building a house, right? Like you have the architect, the person who designed it, and then you have the crew that comes in and lays the foundation and puts up, you know, the framing and does the sheetrock and stuff, and then you have the other crews that come in and do all the finish work and all the detail. Like that's the AI is like the finish crew, you know, that comes in and does the trim work and stuff like that. Where I'm the person who builds the foundation, who puts the framing up, who does the sheetrock, who, you know, lays everything out. So you know, it's kind of two different entities creating this art.
Are you eventually going to bring your art into the metaverse?
I would love to. I don't have VR headset, unfortunately. Creative has actually put up some of my stuff. Owls.
Yep.
Yep. I've had some stuff in their gallery, which is really really cool. Like that, it's definitely the wave. You know, it's definitely the next step. Um, Unfortunately, the future could look pretty scary with everybody just chilling in VR headsets all the time, but it's definitely a really really cool thing. Like I would love to have some stuff in more galleries.
Somebody's going to try to drive with a VR headset on. I know it.
I'm surprised nobody hasn't.
It's
Or
going to
nobody
happen.
hasn't.
Are you gonna attend his summit on the 22nd?
I would like to actually. Hold on, I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh, Creative Alice's going to have a Polygon Metaverse artist collaboration on the 22nd, and it's going to be about. I think right now it's 120 artists total, but he's trying to fill it up to 150, and it's going to
Huh.
be all Polygon artists, and he's going to have it throughout the day. I think it's going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to run all throughout the night. And he's going to have it on spatial, and we're going to all get in there and you know talk to each other and share our art and do it all in the VR metaverse type setup, which I think is going to be really cool. We'll get to network with each other. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to. I tried to go in. I think it was his New Year's party. Was it his New Year's party or Christmas party? But I don't know if it was just the traffic or the fact that I was trying to get in on my phone. Uh, the internet connection here at my apartment is pretty rough, so I do a lot of whatever I need the internet for on my cell phone. So I don't know what it was, but I couldn't get in. I would like to try again. Maybe I don't know. Is there an app or is it all just browser based?
You could do it on your iPhone, your Android, or your computer, or your VR headset. So there's a whole bunch of ways, but there was a lot of traffic on New Year's. I think he said when I spoke to him the other day, I think he said he's paying more money in order to expand the size of it that he could
Oh,
house.
okay, like get more bandwidth or whatever.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I believe I'm in Spaces all day. I might have heard that from somebody else.
Hmm.
I don't know, but I'm a little burnt out from Spaces. I do them so frequently.
Yeah, you did how many this week? I know there was you had Trip yesterday.
I do
Um, what
every
was that?
day,
Every
every
day.
every single day, and then I'm in other Spaces like at least 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of time in space.
A lot of talking.
Yeah, it sure is. Have you talked to any musicians to maybe integrate music into your work?
So that is my next phase. I'm sure you've seen there's a lot of AI animations and stuff like that. Um, so I do 3D fractals as well. So that's what's posted on my Tezos stuff was my 3D fractals, and you can actually do these really really cool fly throughs. I have one somewhere on my page of one that I exported. It just took like 24 hours to render an 8 second animation. Oh no, it was 4 second. I just slowed it down enough to make it 32. But like I said, I produce, so I'm gonna make my own music. Uh, but yeah, that's I'm trying to like work in phases and just build myself up without throwing in everything all at once. And yeah, that's honestly the next step.
Yeah, I'm not very good at like the visual artistic representations of things, but I'm a musician myself, so
Nice. What do you
I'm
play?
huh?
What do you play?
Well, piano since I'm a kid, but now pretty much everything except for drums.
Nice. I'm very jealous. I play guitar and bass, ukulele, a little bit of drums, and I can play piano enough that like I know scales and stuff like that, but I couldn't sit and like lay down chords with my left hand and riff with my right or anything fancy like that, which I guess is good that I have a computer.
Yeah, my parents enrolled me in piano lessons when I was like 7, and
Yeah.
I played all the way up until high school, and then kind of stopped for a little bit, and then I got back into it in like my mid 20s, and I've just been playing since. And so,
So you trying to collab or what?
well, I was thinking I need to find some people to do some music for their art.
Yeah, I absolutely. Once I get my first animation up, I would love to send it to you. You know, it's not in my link tree. I have a couple animated fractals that I just went and found some royalty free uh just loops for. But if I would love to use somebody that I know's work until I start producing my own for my own stuff. Maybe afterwards, after this, I'll send you, like, you have stuff on SoundCloud or Bandcamp or anything like that.
No, but I could send you whatever you need to.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I don't like these platforms that don't help the artist. I'm not really into anything like that.
right.
Kind of
Yeah.
waiting to mint my stuff.
I
Um,
would love to hear some of your jams, dude.
cool. Yeah. We'll figure something out, and I'll send you stuff over. Um, so do you feel like you have to push yourself to get creative enough to start working like on a daily basis, or is this just something that you enjoy so much that once you're done with work, you could sit down and just start creating? Like, do
Um,
you Like it's a secondary job some days.
Some days, definitely some days, but most of the time it's just something I really enjoy doing. Like, it's something I can sit on the couch with my girlfriend and we can watch, TV. We can, sit and play with the baby. With the AI stuff or even with the fractals, there's a lot of render time. Um, so I have a lot of downtime in between. And I can do other stuff, and so it's pretty easy. Music was a little harder when I was doing that because I had headphones on constantly. So even though we would be in the same room or whatever, it was still like we were in separate spaces because she would have to throw something at me in order for me to even know she was talking to me. Um, so getting back to my roots and getting back to regular just art, like, as it's good. It's made it a lot easier for me to just create and you know go right to it. And NFTs had too, because for a while you're creating for yourself, and now I'm still creating for myself, but there's like the added benefits. It used to just be, well, I can just throw this on Instagram and, maybe I'll get a couple likes, or I can show my friends and they can ogle at it. And that's really it. Um, but now it's I can do this and I love doing this and I could potentially make a living from this. So there's like that added layer of, what's the word? Not encouragement, incentive. There's that added layer of incentive now, and it definitely just makes it easier to just sit down and create. I treat it as a second job. I give myself deadlines. I try to I have to put this much time in. I have to do this, but it's not like actually going to work. It's so much easier.
Yeah, I tend to have to kick myself in the ass sometimes. Like I have a music studio in my house on the second floor.
Oh,
And
wow.
I could sometimes it's just like it takes me a month or two just to sit down in there and just start dabbling with some music. And
Hmm.
I don't know if it's laziness or if it's just like the convenience of having it. Because I know, like when I used to rent rehearsal spaces, I would be in the rehearsal space every day of the week. And I think maybe just because I have to go up a staircase and it's right there, I kind of like take it for granted. So that's why I was wondering how you feel about like, do you feel like it's a job or you have to push yourself some days? Because I really have to push myself to get in there some days.
Yeah, but once you get in there, it probably flows, right? Like,
Once I get in there, I don't want to leave.
right, exactly. I think you got ADHD too, my friend.
I'm undiagnosed though, so I'm not going to claim anything. Right at me. So, what do you what's like the hardest thing that you've encountered since you got into NFTs?
Breaking through the muck. I think that's everybody's issue is being seen. Like, you there's so many people and it's just getting more and more flooded, which is good because that means it's becoming more widely adopted. More people are starting to look at it, more people are starting to see it as like an opportunity, but there's a lot. And then you have all the fake promoters and the fake shill threads, and as a new, I mean, I would still consider myself new to the space. There's people that have been here since what, like 2018, 2017. um so I've been around for 3 months now, 4 months. So I would, and I still don't know what to do. Like, you got just sifting through the nonsense, sifting through the people telling you, like, don't do this because these people won't like it, or like, you shouldn't do this because collectors are going to look at it bad. Like, breaking myself of that thought process, that was like one of the hardest things to do. Like, trying to potentially please future collectors that I don't even know if I'm going to get. um I think that was probably the hardest. Like, I make so much things. Like if I see something and I think it looks cool and I want to know how to do it, I'm gonna learn how to do it. And being told that like I'm not gonna sell because I have too many art styles, or so it's discouraging. And there's nothing I can do about that because that's who I am. Like I wouldn't trade it for the world. I've learned so many different things. I've learned how to do so many things, and yeah. So just disregarding like all this I know better information, I think was the hardest.
When people say that the NFT market's becoming too saturated, and people look at that like a setback, I look at it like an opportunity for other markets. Like that'll just open up areas for people to mint in Polygon, people to mint in Solana, people to mint in Tezos.
Right.
Like I think because people are gonna, if there's too many people doing a specific project on ETH, and you think that your project could break through, but there's just too many people doing it. Why wouldn't you try doing it on like Solana or Polygon? I think
Absolutely.
it's right. So I think saturation it's good and it's bad. I'm looking at it kind of on the glass half full side, where I think it's going to help like marketplaces out, and that aren't OpenSea. I think it's going to give people a little bit more of an opportunity to maybe shine in other places that they wouldn't be able to just on like OpenSea Ethereum.
Oh, absolutely. I've been thinking about checking out some of like the Algorand ones that are popping up, because Algorand's pretty fresh. Algorand's new, and I know there's a couple. I think Stacks is one of them. It's a more curated. Like you gotta get in touch. You gotta show them the collection that you want to do and this and that. But I know a few abstract artists that did okay on Ethereum and Polygon and stuff, but then they moved to that, and because they were some of the first ones getting on that platform and doing that style of art, they've been selling at auctions for like 500-600 algo, and going from making $150 a piece to making close to $1,000 a piece. That's a huge jump just for being early, essentially.
If anybody has any questions for Loris, you could raise your hand and I'll bring you up. Or if any of you guys in the box have anything for him, feel free to shout it out. He has a new collection that's it just dropped. Really, really badass collection. If you click it, it's right up in the pinned messages that we have here. Um, it's called Dreaming of Electronic Sheep. It's the first chapter of it. Floor price is 0.05 ETH, and I mean, I think it's phenomenal. I just love how everything is laid out, and it's really like I'm gonna have to probably pick up one of these. I have to look through them to see which one I really want, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy one off you later this afternoon. Well, later this evening.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I see Soma's in here, and I gotta say, Soma, they were like some of my first inspiration to get into AI. You see a lot of people, there's a lot of AI art that's just like all over the place. It's just prompts, and then you got a face over here, you got some trees over here, you got an eye poking out over here, and Soma was one of the they were one of the first people that I saw like actually create like these beautiful and creepy and awesome, like these cohesive pieces of art. And so yeah, hey, just shouting you out there.
What's up, Coin Country? You have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Loris. You mentioned it a little bit earlier on, but you said you went to art school. I was just kind of curious on your art background previous to your current medium and creation style.
Sure. I mean, we were talking about anime earlier here. Of course, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z and Adult Swim and stuff like that. So when I was in high school, I did a lot of like anime style stuff. But as I got older, I got really into portraits. I do like grayscale portrait work, like realism. I don't really paint too much. It's just too much for me. I don't like the fact that I've got to, especially with oil paints, you got to wait for days for it to dry. But yeah, so like any dry medium really, or pen and ink, color pencil. I've done tattoo work, tattoo designs. I've the school I went to Pratt, um, but I went to its satellite campus. I'm kind of doxing myself by saying it's in Utica, but uh, sort of doxing myself. But yeah, so I went to Pratt, their satellite campus up in Utica, for graphic design and illustration. Um, so most traditional mediums I've tried, I've played with. Like I said, I've been doing this my whole life. This has been like the one constant in my life, that and skateboarding. But yeah, I
So
hope I answered it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Sorry, I'm drawing.
Oh, good, man.
So I just got a few more questions before we wrap it up. Is Dreaming of Electronic Sheep Chapter 2 going to be the next collection that you're going to be working on, or do you have something in mind before you get to that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I really want to make some people. I don't know who in here has really played with a lot of AI apart from Soma, but people are pretty hard to make like cohesively. So I really want to try my hand at getting that under my belt. The next chapter of this collection is going to be cityscapes. So yeah, I guess it really depends. I kind of want to let this simmer a little bit before I really start working on that. So yeah, I don't really know. I just kind of flow with the wind.
What's a creative avenue that you don't think has necessarily been tapped into at the moment where NFTs could venture into? I mean, outside of art.
Huh. Uh, um, Creative avenue, or like you mean like creative in the sense that it hasn't been thought of?
That it hasn't been thought of yet.
Ooh. I don't know what hasn't been thought of, because you've got everything from like contracts. Uh, people could probably figure out a way to make it work for like, you know, time clocks at work. Anything really that you need to be relatively like unforgeable. Anything that you want like relative uh, permanence and what's the word? Transparency. You know, that's a loaded question, man. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that NFTs are starting to get their fingers in. Like you pop into a space and there's always that one person that hops up with like the most obscure random thing, and you're like, huh, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, the craziest one that I've heard recently, which makes total sense, is authentication of cattle for auctions, like beef and
Yeah.
like making sure you get the right cow when you're going and purchasing a cow off an auction. Sounds weird, but you know what? That shit costs a lot of money, and he got rugged. That was such a loaded question right there. It rugged him right out of the room. What do you think about cows on the blockchain, Aiden?
I think I saw a video yesterday about where a farmer put VR goggles on a cow, and that cow yielded 5 times more milk than the other cows. It's crazy.
All right. Now we're just making shit up. But
Dude, I will send you the video right now. I have it saved.
oh man. Yeah, so for me, it was cattle. Cattle on the blockchain was kind of the craziest one that I've seen so far, but there's so much stuff.
Yeah, who was it? Was it Rich or Astro that was just talking about the VR goggles? That's completely true. They do it on cows that live like say like Russia or some area that like isn't really like, you know, good for cows. They do that so that the cow thinks it's in a more like a more natural good
Yup,
climate.
on a grassy plain, and they play them music too.
Yeah,
They play them like calming music, and the cows freaking love it.
it's insane.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah, it's nuts. But the cattle thing, that's actually like it's a really good idea. I mean, and horses too. Like horses are a lot of money.
I know. I used to own a couple. They're not cheap.
No, like and especially if you get like some of these like really crazy, you know, thoroughbreds, or say you get, you know, a horse and you stud it out, right? And you have this crazy winning horse, and you're studying it out, and people are coming and paying $500,000 just to have their horse knocked up by yours.
Yep.
And then you give them the NFT, and that's like proof of like, all right, you know, this little filly or this, you know, little colt actually came from, you know, whatever crazy ridiculous horse.
I was like Bob Baffert when he was all crying that Medina Spirit died. It wasn't because the horse died; it's because he couldn't breed the thing out.
Right.
You know, that horse was a gold mine if he was going to start breeding it.
Yeah. Or Tappet, like Tappet. We had a son of Tappet here on the farm. I have no idea how much money the people paid to have him, you know, studded out the mare to tap it. But dude broke his leg like his first race and was toast.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
yeah, it's nuts. But that's actually that's a really good utility.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here. We're at the top of the hour. I want to thank you for coming out here, Loris Emporium. I'm gonna get in contact with you. Maybe you could use a little bit of the music and stuff over on your stuff, and we'll figure out how things are gonna go.
Yeah.
Check out his new collection. It's pinned up top. It's called Dreaming of Electronic Sheep. Really cool stuff. It's one of one collection. There's only 10 pieces. Um, get them before they're sold out because the detail on these, I don't think they're going to be around too long. Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping by and talking to everybody here. I really appreciate it. And whenever you want to stop by, you know, we have these things running like pretty much 7 days a week now. Unless like there's something, I have a commitment to do something in real life. I'm in my fake life on here with all these beautiful people.
I'll definitely stop by, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me. You know, this was really good because, like I said, this was only my second space I ever spoke in, and you know, it definitely helped to shake out some of those pre-show jitters, and you know, I'm going to be more likely to speak in more spaces, and you know, I owe that to you, man. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming out.